As the public advocate for the city of New York, and let me emphasize the entire city of New York, my office has a compelling and a particularized need to serve as a catalyst for reform, particularly in the grand jury system, and to satisfy the appearance of a fair and impartial process as it relates to the grand jury proceeding in this particular case, and to address the public perception that there are irreconcilable differences between that which was presented to the grand jury and the video that we all witnessed, and to inform individuals not only in the city but in this nation that their eyes do not lie. And so this really has nothing to do with the grand jurors themselves, but in fact the process within which a no true bill was voted. And it's important that the public understand that the vote of a no true bill is not subject to any review by any judicial body at all. It's also important to know that all that we want to protect the witnesses, we want to protect the grand jurors, we want to ensure that any identifying information is protected. All that we want to know is what were the charges that were presented to the grand jury. Was it one charge, the charge of murder? Was any lesser included charges presented to the grand jury? If they only had the charge of murder, clearly a no true bill would be understandable. How many witnesses were presented? There were 50 witnesses presented. Were they all police officers? Who were the experts that presented the evidence to the grand juries? Who interpreted the law? And last but not least, the question is really the medical examiner's evidence. Was there exculpatory evidence that was presented on behalf of the police officer? And the reality is that the public wants to know why in this particular case was this one officer, why was he treated differently than any other individuals who were prosecuted before a grand jury? Why did it take, it took several weeks for this grand jury to be presented? And as was indicated earlier by the Legal Aid Society, most defendants, as a former public defender myself, most grand juries are usually held within days, not weeks, but days. Why, in this particular case, was this individual given special treatment? And that's why we need to know what happened behind closed doors, to provide some confidence in the system, to restore faith in the system, and to make sure that there was an impartial process in this particular case. This is above and beyond one death, above and beyond one borough, above and beyond one police officer. It's really about restoring faith in our system.
The law requires that we demonstrate a compelling interest to overcome the presumption of secrecy. We think there are several compelling interests that support disclosure in this case. There's a public conversation taking place now regarding grand jury secrecy, regarding the workings of the grand jury. There are calls for reform. There are calls for abolition. The Garner grand jury plays a central role in that conversation, and yet the people don't know, the legislators who are called upon to act don't know what took place in that grand jury room. They don't know why the grand jury reached the decision that they reached. And to have an informed electorate, to have an informed community, to have informed legislators, we need to know how and why the grand jury reached the decision that it reached. So we urge disclosure in the court today. We think that transparency is better than secrecy in a democracy, that light is better than darkness, and we think that the court should shed some light on what happened there.
Shine, let it shine, let it shine. All over the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All over the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All over the world.